Ryan, you've had a month or so to reflect on last season, both on and off the pitch. Starting on it, how would you assess the season as a whole?
Yeah, it was. In the end, it was a wonderful season for us. A season that had everything, I think. On the pitch is where the majority of the drama was, which is where you want it. And we took the drama right down to the wire, didn't we? In the most, probably in the most Bradford City way we could possibly do it.
You mentioned there it's a season that had everything, but what moments stand out to you from the last 12 months?
There's lots of different moments. I think there was some moments that I personally felt we'd made a move towards that top three. I remember going to Bromley on that Tuesday night, and it was a really difficult game, and we won with a late Bobby Pointon goal, and that felt like a night where we perhaps were heading in the right direction in terms of where we wanted to go. There were some incredible moments here at Valley Parade, the victory over Walsall, Grimsby, huge wins for us, and then bumper crowds against Crewe and Colchester, both with wins. They were very special moments. There were some tough times. Some of our away games towards the end of the season didn't go where we wanted them to go. We didn't have too much success on the road in the early parts of the season, and I think we were tested really. The squad was tested right to the limit in terms of injuries, and we got a raft of injuries all at the same time, and that put huge pressure on the guys to turn in performances inside, week in, week out. It's very difficult to do, and we played a lot of games in short periods. So it was a season that had everything, and it ended in the most magical way possible.
And that ending to the season, the scenes on the pitch for the staff, the players, the supporters, the bus parade, they'll last with everyone for a lifetime really, won't they? Oh,
very special times, obviously, for everybody connected to the club, the city, the supporters who'd waited so long for that moment. You could just see the outpouring of happiness, frankly, amongst everybody. It was a few seconds of my life I'll never be able to replay or replicate, and I probably wouldn't want to. In some respects, it was very stressful, but it was wonderful to see. And when you're on the pitch after and you're just soaking that up, it's for all of us at the club, and then for everybody connected to it and the players. It was wonderful, and I think the way that the wider game and the likes of Sky Sports covered that in the days that followed showed the impact that it had across the EFL, and I think it showed the strength of the pyramid really. The fact that the takeaway story from that weekend was a League Two game but played in front of 24,500 people.
And it's obviously felt quite different this season, but what do you feel the key difference have been as we've achieved our goals this year?
I think it's just, when you're working towards a goal for a period of time, and it's taken us longer than we wanted, and it's just important that when you believe in the process that it will come, and that we tested that definitely against Fleetwood, whether or not it was going to come. But we probably, in life and definitely in sport, you don't always get what you deserve, but I think we did actually on May the 3rd. I think we deserved that as a football club, everybody connected to it. It's been a wait. But honestly speaking, just a great deal of hard work across the club from everyone. Everyone gave everything for a long period. Along the way, we've been lucky to bring people to the club who have assisted and helped us be successful on and off the pitch. And we've got a very talented and committed bunch of people who make this machine work. And there's no such thing as luck for me. It's just a reward for the hard work you put in, and everybody on that day was rewarded for their efforts.
And achieving our goals like we did, it really couldn't have happened in a more special way, could it, with the 40th anniversary of the fire disaster as well? Yeah,
very special, very special. I think for that to happen in the way it did, on the day there was a lot on that match, bordering on the anniversary of the fire, which was marked the week after in a very emotionally charged way in my view, and very fitting actually. As a football club, we obviously had the 1985 dinner a few weeks prior to that, and it was so nice for them people to have their celebration moment. And the only way as a club 40 years later we could pay tribute truly to that would be to do something special on the pitch. And I think that probably played into the occasion on the day. I think when the teams walk out till You Never Walk Alone, what that does to any human being who's got a conscience. It makes you the hair stand up on the neck, and I can see it now. And the game was well set up in that regard, and then the outcome, it just was very, very special. And for that anniversary to be marked in such a way, I don't think we could pay any better tribute.
And it was Graham's first season in charge as well as manager of the football club. To see the hard work pay off like that in his first full season, first time of asking, must be really pleasing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he came to the club in a tricky spot for us in terms of where we were. The season hadn't started well. We'd had a pretty disappointing summer, if I'm honest. And it was playing out on the pitch, which often happens. It eventually ends up on the grass. In that season, there were 2 or 3 moments where we looked like we were turning ourselves round, and right at the end we had a great run, and it wasn't meant to be. Agonising, probably, and that energy, the feeling that left, we probably fed off that energy going into the summer of not wanting to feel that again. And at the very least, we wanted to be a playoff side that was going to push for the top 3, and we had a budget to do it. That's a key difference is that we were given. You look at the players we were able to bring in the door. We were able to match the manager's ambition with the signings and stay competitive in what is becoming an incredibly competitive market. Supply and demand has gone out of the window, if you like, in certain departments of pitches, and we had a very simple choice, which was we can take a calculated risk and record a loss and have success, or we might never get it. And I think Stefan deserves a lot of credit for believing in that vision, and then Graham has delivered along with the team behind him in the backroom staff and the talents that we have in David and Stephen, who bring the players to the table and make the operation tick. He's delivered the outcome.
We've seen that kind of culture created here, that hard-working, never give up attitude, both on the field and in the offices, and that togetherness is key for all that success, isn't it?
I think so. I think I've always said the score takes care of itself. I believe that. But it's a very easy throwaway sentence if you don't actually do it. You need a period of time where everybody starts to buy into what you're trying to do, and I always believed, and we've spoke about it internally, that one day we'll have our moment, and it will have been created by a lot of very special people, and it has been. And you could see the way the staff reacted on the pitch after the game. That was years of desperation, if you like, pouring out, and there was a lot of emotion, but the fact that everyone was together, no one left early, do you know what I mean? Everyone was together after the game, and we'd been together before it, and for the months and weeks before that. And there have been times where that's probably been harder to see, when you come up short, when you're disappointed, losing 2 EFL Trophy semi-finals in very different kind of games. It makes you sometimes wonder whether it's ever going to come. That's the truth, but it came for us, and the culture of the staff, in my opinion, is one of the key ingredients. The whole feeling around the club starts inside the 4 walls.
If you go back to maybe 12, 18 months ago when you started looking at recruitment for the season just gone, it might be an own goal, but they've given it to Antoni Sarcevic, and he was brought in first signing and showed mark of intent, promotion winner, experience at that level. To see that kind of strategy pay off as well shows that the foundations were in there from the get-go. Yeah,
look, we had to be honest. We'd changed managers during the season, so the squad was set that season, and we honestly reflected and had long conversations with Graham about what were the players he believed would be the difference for this football club to get us over the line, and where perhaps we've been short. And I think we have I think over the last few years we've had a group of players that have been really able to start to handle the club and connect with the supporters. And you look at the names that have been around us on loan or permanent over the last 3 years, everyone's been quite relatively popular, a lot of players. And I think, but it was a case of perhaps we needed some more match winners, some more players that had the bravery to carry out and help each other and be good off the pitch as well. But to do that, you have to have funds, you have to have a budget. And we knew that in the previous season, with the arrivals of Wrexham and Stockport into our division and Notts County have followed, the market was going in one direction, and relying on potentially outperforming your budget is a nice idea in principle, but 60%. If you're looking at the stats going into next season, 60% of the teams that have spent top 6 money in League One have got promoted. So that tells you something. There is the other side of that coin, but luck is not something you want to rely on. So we had to have the buy-in from the owner, and that comes with the owner believing in the people that are going to spend the money. That's the reality. And I think what he witnessed against Fleetwood and probably made up for some of the feelings that he had to feel at Carlisle and at Birmingham and more lately against Wickham, the other way around. So it does, recruitment's key, and we've been, I think over the last few years, we've brought some really great players to the club, and we're going to bring some more great players to the club this summer.
We've already started that summer recruitment. We brought Max and Curtis in, who have proven at this level, League One winners. Joe, plenty of games at this level. Sam signed his new deal as well. How happy are you with that early business already?
Yeah, really pleased. There's always a temptation. You want to get the squad built as quickly as possible, and we've seen some of our best signings have arrived in the last couple of days of windows and weeks of windows. It doesn't mean that the plans aren't there, but you have to sometimes wait as well. There are multiple plates spinning. I speak to David, Stephen, the manager, daily about where we go, what we do. Should we do this? Should we wait on that one? There's some really exciting players on the table. There is a huge amount of competition for them. But in my opinion, we are fishing in the right pots. We're looking at the right players, and you can see that because the teams that are looking to sign these players are teams that have ambitions in League One, as do we. So, yes, it's a great start. There is a lot of work to do. We obviously have to strengthen our squad, and I'm looking forward to seeing that pans out in the next 8 to 12 weeks.
Off the field as well, we've seen a lot of growth commercially, a new substantial deal with Macron, and it's just really exciting times to be involved with Bradford City, isn't it? Yeah,
look, we've got huge commercial targets in League One that we're going to try and achieve. We want to have as much revenue inside the club, but equally we want to have the best portfolio of partners we can have that best represent us and where we want to go. We work with some great people, huge companies in the local area and wider, and there are more companies who want to work with us, and if we have common goals, that can happen.
And I guess that deal with Macron, offering bespoke kits to this football club, is something that, for the supporters to get involved with. It's obviously exciting. It's not just a template. It shows that mutual respect, doesn't it, between the two organisations? Yeah,
they're fun. Macron have been great with us. That I think there's some stats this morning about they're supplying now, I think, in the top 60% of all the brands that supply the top 10 divisions in the world. So we're not working with we're working with a big machine, and we're treated with so much respect. I think they make some great kits for us that are selling very well, and again assisting with our operation in terms of what we need to do to grow. You are always going to do better when you're working with companies, particularly the companies who supply you, who are demanding growth in their own organisation, because ultimately the two go hand in hand.
And there is a big buzz around the city at the moment. It's city of culture. It's important that the football club does our part to keep that momentum going now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've helped, to say the least. The 20,000 people that were in City Park a couple of Tuesdays ago, it feels like months ago, but it was actually only a few weeks ago now. That's energy, that's a shot in the arm that you can't buy. The city has to make the most of it. We want to help. We provide, we believe, a great platform for growth. We provide numbers into the city centre. We make the trains go, we make the buses move, and we can generate revenue for a local economy. We showed that in the last few weeks on a grand scale, and it's very important that we harness that, and there has to be synergy going into next season. That's something we'll be looking for centrally. In terms of City of Culture, they've been very supportive of us. Our third shirt screams their brand. It's been very popular, with a little help from a former member of a huge pop band, I'm told. So yeah, it's been a great start on that. We think we're playing our part, and again, it's about working hand in hand.
We've got the yearly fans forum here tomorrow, which is following up from the yearly one we have with Radio Leeds as well. The open communication with fans is vital, isn't it?
Yeah, look, in bad times and good times, if someone's asked you a question, you give the answers. It's not always what someone will want to hear, and it can sometimes be better received if things are going better on the pitch. But while in my experience here there hasn't always been clamours for fans forums on the back of okay seasons, i.e. playoffs in 23 and this season is more than okay, I don't believe they're sold out, the 2 fans forums in questions, but that doesn't mean you don't host them. You know, we've got a club charter where we want to have 2 a season, and we've stuck to that every season. And you know, if anyone's ever knocked on my door, dropped me an email and wanted a conversation, the conversations can be had, no problem at all, whether you're sat in the middle of the division or in the top of it. So we've never shirked that as a football club. I think I think Stefan was here for last year's fans forum, he'll be here for this year's. I think that was the first one he attended in 7 years. So you can see what I think of transparency. It's critical from the top to the bottom. And we always, as a club, regardless of what division we're in, we always put our people on the table. Everyone who wants to hear from largely the football department, everybody's there. So that will never change.
There's been plenty of hard work going into next season already, but initially, what are the plans kind of off the field for the football club?
Quite a lot of work going on. You know, it's always a crazy thing when you finish one season and it feels like maybe 1 or 2 days of rest, and then the paintbrushes are out and people are running around, and we're already ticking the clock down really till August the 2nd, which is not actually that far away, frighteningly. You know yourself, Sam, the conversations inside the club is probably more frenetic in the summer than it is in the winter, because this is our opportunity to build next season. We are looking at development in our McCall and Hendry suites. We think those rooms are tired and need help and work, and we're working with our partners at Tiffin to do that this summer, as much of it as possible. We're aware prices have increased in those areas. We want to give people a better feel, without a doubt, but it comes down to pounds and pence. And then the long-awaited seating project in the COP, all fingers crossed, will commence this summer, and we will aim to have that ready for the first game of the season the very best we can. It's a huge project, but Stefan has supported the club's desire to make sure that happens in a budget that's already been committed to, and thankfully we're going ahead with that, because I think it doesn't, let's be honest, it doesn't look great. The seats are probably not claret and amber. I would say a push white and brown. They're not what they were, and we want to treat people with respect. You know, you buy a season ticket, we've increased the price. We want as much equality around the ground as possible. We're aware other seats are not in great shape, but as best we can, we will get through them. It's a very expensive job, and time is of the essence because it's a shorter pre-season, but we'll give it a go, and I'm pretty sure it'll be all good by the start of the season. And
on the pitch, what are the goals there this season?
Well, we want to compete. There's no doubt about that. We've not worked this hard to get to League One to struggle. You know, don't get me wrong. There will be days and games where we do. That's natural. We've got to find our place. But this is Bradford City, and we don't go into seasons talking about getting through them. I've never had that conversation with anyone at this club. It's always about what can we do. In the early days, no doubt, and I've said it before, wasn't a popular comment. It was about survival in League Two. I can't quite believe that, but it was at one point. Them days are in the rearview mirror, thankfully. And next season for us is we have nothing to fear. We're very excited about the teams we're playing against. We're very excited to host them. We're very excited to travel to them, and we will have a go on the pitch. And we have a budget that the owner has supported that gives us an opportunity to compete.
And just finally, last week we had the devastating news of Roger Owens passing. Just a few words on him as a man and the impact he had at this football club.
Well, I don't think a few words does it justice, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, it was a huge shock to lose Roger in such a short period of time. I saw him at we go to games together, home and away, every away game. I've sat with him pretty much since I've been in this job. Great support, absolute. His character and personality is like no one you've ever met. Some of the fun we've had, you know, in away days, and equally in the tougher times, you know, someone who would always be supportive and be constructive but forthright. Roger was a straight talker, a lot to learn from the man, and you know, Bradford City is a darker place without him. It really is, and the room we sit in today was his arena. You know, he was very popular with opposition associates and directors, and the amount of emails I've had from other clubs and messages from chief execs and chairmen and from other clubs, it's been overwhelming actually. You know, and I've passed some over to his family, and ultimately at this point, our main thoughts are with Lena, Jason and Glenn, his boys and his wife, because it's a huge loss for them, and you know, we'll look at ways we can honour Roger in the right way, and we'll look at that going into next season. But yeah, we're devastated to no longer have him with us, without a doubt.
Until I die,